Let's go back to this story now on the IPID's investigation. The Daily Maverick reports that in late 2017, the directorate began investigating a plot to direct police money to the ANC, but the investigation has apparently stalled as key documents are still classified over a year later. IPID spokesperson Moses Dlamini is here to give us some details. So it all sounds very intriguing, Moses Dlamini. There's a bit of espionage, there's political intrigue, the alleged buying of votes, money in politics as well. But you are investigating a very serious crime. What crime are you investigating?
Well, we've got a number of investigations to Lasizwe. We're investigating, amongst others, corruption, fraud, money laundering. Some of the investigations, the one that you've alluded to, involves 45 million, which was apparently being sought in cash to buy votes at the ANC conference last year. However, we intervened as the IPID because we got people from crime intelligence who came forward to alert us to this, and we took affidavits and tried to verify some of the information, and we were able to do so. And then we alerted the National Commissioner of the SABS, General Sithole, and he intervened and to stop that procurement. But it is peculiar that the money was being sought in cash, which is...
I was going to say that. I've never heard of procurement by the state happening in cash.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we looked at, and it raised alarm bells to us. That's why we then informed the National Commissioner to intervene.
So who are the players that you are investigating here?
Well, it's an investigation. I mean, as we investigate, obviously, there are people of interest, and some senior police officers who hold currently senior positions of Deputy National Commissioner in the police are being part of the investigation. We wanted explanation from them. They are not yet suspects, but we wanted an explanation, and therefore they launched a court application to prevent us getting information.
And this would include former President Jacob Zuma's former head of security, who was at one point an acting head of the Hawks.
That's correct. The head of crime intelligence, General Ngobo, is one of the people from whom we want explanation. We were earlier given an indication that they were willing to come forward and give us the explanations that we sought. However, they then went to court to challenge a subpoena that was issued.
This meeting at this hotel sounds really intriguing. One of those, behind the scenes, dagger and cloak situations. What happened at that meeting? Who was at that meeting? What was discussed there?
Well, it's the police generals, as we have said in our papers, including these deputy national commissioners, as well as the advisor to the former Minister of Police, Mr. Mbindwane, was also there, and the service provider. Interestingly, the service provider who is involved here, it's a company called Brainwave, also known as iView. It was under administration, under...
business rescue.
Business rescue.
Yeah.
Therefore, the police shouldn't have even contemplated doing business with them. But here we find the situation where they were doing business.
And they were to supply, which is where the espionage comes in, they were to supply equipment, something called a grabber, and some other really difficult to pronounce names of equipment.
Yeah, even the grabber. When we inquired within crime intelligence, we found that they didn't really need the grabber.
This is the thing that intercepts cell phone communication.
Communication, yes. They didn't need it because they already had it. And secondly, there was no business case to motivate for it as per normal government procurement. And they didn't even bother to go to at least three service providers. They went straight to this company with whom they had done business before. And they were aware that this company was already implicated in other corruption matters that were investigated by...
Moses Lamine, I suspect you'll find a lot of people who sympathize with you in fighting crime, especially crime that involves the people who should be at the forefront of law enforcement. But why on earth are you trying to lay your hands on information that, at least according to the police commissioner and others, is sensitive information that would threaten national security?
Well, the effect is that this information has nothing to do with the national security. They're classifying this information basically to sabotage or rather counter our investigation. The procurement information that we're looking for has nothing to do with informants, it has nothing to do with state secrets. It's basically documents that relate to quotations, business case that we're looking for. And the police, if they classify this, they are doing it incorrectly and with an ulterior motive.
So who's classifying this information from your suspicions?
Well, according to the information we have, the person who generates the document or the information can classify it. But that person or the head of the institution, in this case, General Sithole, the National Commissioner, can declassify the information if he so wishes. And he was, in fact, advised by the Inspector General of Intelligence.
Yes, that's what I was going to go next.
This information that is being sought by IPID has nothing to do with national security, and it would be a good idea to provide it to IPID.
That really confuses me, though, Moses Lamine, because, you were saying that earlier on this whole scheme was thwarted in a way with the assistance of the police commissioner, Kehla Sithole. Why does he appear unwilling to now declassify this information that, on the face of it, would take this investigation to its logical conclusion?
Yeah, we expected that the National Commissioner would have an interest in wanting to know exactly what happened and also preventing corruption and assisting investigations of this nature. Only he can provide an explanation as to why he's now opposing the declassification.
So what are you seeking in the courts? What do you want the court to order?
Well, we want the court to declare that the classification is unlawful and set it aside, and that the police should provide the documentation that we are looking for so that we can, in fact, continue with the investigation. And the investigation might, either confirm the allegations or, in fact, clear people where they are perhaps falsely implicated. But we cannot come to that conclusion until we've got the information we're seeking and are able to conclude the investigation.
So if I'm an ANC member sitting at home watching the 107th anniversary proceedings happening in Durban, I suppose I could be wondering, was the conference in 2017 tainted by bribery of delegates? So from your aspect, I know that you can't answer broadly, but in as far as that specific aspect of your investigation, did any money actually change hands?
Well, we intervened. When we became aware, we informed the National Commissioner and advised him to stop this procurement from going ahead. As far as we know, that was stopped. Obviously, we still want to do an investigation to confirm all of this.
And given that you're having difficulties with getting this information declassified, how far are you from making arrests and then bringing matters before court? I suppose it's a long process.
Yeah, at this stage, we just want to find out what happened and who is involved and whether any crimes have been committed. Allegations have been made, and our sources basically are people within crime intelligence, because they were concerned that there might be a commission of crimes and money stolen from the Secret Service account. Just
finally then, Moses, your boss, Robert McBride, is no stranger to tensions with either the police minister or the police commissioner. I mean, recent history has shown. To what extent is this likely to affect relations between your institution, which is key in keeping police officers on the straight and narrow, and the person in charge of police, the police commissioner, General Sithole?
Well, our relationship is a professional relationship. IPID has got a job to do. And the police have got a job to do. We hope that in the interests of justice, we get cooperation from all quarters, including from the National Commissioner.
All right, thank you so much for coming through. And of course, you did say that if we want to know why he's not declassifying this information, we should ask him, General Sithole. Thank you so much.